Hi everybody, it's Peter here from MiniModelPaint Studios with a quick update. I haven't got a big tutorial or painting video this week. It's just what I've been working on since the last time we spoke. First up is the Staff Car, the Tamiya. It's got a little dust on it. This is almost finished. I'm leaving it for a little while until I get on to shooting a video on big weathering, extreme weathering, and the like. I'm mostly happy with it. A couple of mistakes, like when I showed you, if you've seen the video on how to do the windscreen weathering, I haven't actually. Let's get a little stick. The windscreen wipers go all the way to the edge, but my mask did not. So I might try and fix that. And there's a little bit of a watermark on the top, which I will fix. But the guy inside looks pretty happy driving it. The clear parts are nice and clean. They need a bit more weathering. There is a bit of a, looking through the camera there, never look through a camera so close at your work. You end up realizing all the mistakes you've made. Some smudges from the canopy glue. So I'm going to fix that, and by fix that I mean I'm going to cover it with some weathering. And look at that, there's a big bloody fingerprint at the back. Okay, well, so I'm less happy now than I was with it when I did it. But here are things that you spot on close inspection. I need to do some of the undercarriage. I mean, there's not a lot to do there, but of course I can't take it apart because it's held together in there by a screw, and the screw is capped off with a plastic cover which is super glued on. Anyway, it's not too bad. It's for essentially a finish off rescue kit. I'm quite happy with it. It will look amazing when it's fully weathered, because clearly it's had some sort of mud and rain come and hit it. We're going to do maybe some oil streaking on it, and lots of mud and grime, and basically make it look like it's just arrived through a massive storm. Next up, let's put him aside. Next up is a box of XWing bits. I think the last time I did anything on, showed anything on this, it was about the pilot. I've basically finished the cockpit. I might lighten up some of the grey on the cowling. Obviously, I need to paint R2 and start working on the red stripes and get all the correct Red 5 versions of that, because it's not all grey. Sorry, it's not all red. It's not a solid red stripe. It's quite broken up. But what I've been working on this week on this, I've started washing down, getting the body, the fuselage, grimed up, and sanding off some glue splodges here and there. That's going to get a bit of extra paint tidied up on there. There's going to be a hell of a lot to paint on this. There is Luke's X-Wing is, being the hero ship of the film, is really, really detailed. The amount of battle damage it takes, and smoke scarring, and staining, and oil, and paint chipping. So basically we've got to finish the S-foils with all of the decals and painting, or weathering, glossing, and matting, and the whole thing has to be, that bit has to be finished before it goes into position on the fuselage. From there on, it's basically a case of clipping the whole thing together, finishing off a little bit of weathering and sanding down any joins that aren't quite right, and then it's done. But every little sub-assembly needs to be finished separately before we can do any putting together of this kit. So let's put him aside. Something else I've been working on here is 10th Doctor from the Airfix Welcome Home TARDIS kit. Welcome aboard, sorry, it's that one. So what I've been doing here, I've given his face some skin tone. It needs shading and toning. Maybe some work on the. Let's get a bit closer in on him. There we go. I mean, it's not looking too bad already. It needs a little bit of rouge, a little bit of blush tone in the skin, so it doesn't look quite Commander Data. He's slightly lifeless looking, isn't he? I want to give him a bit of blush, give him a bit of life to his face. It's a real pain, this, partly because I've glued it into the body, partly because the head is a single piece of vinyl, not glued together. And if you look really carefully in there, I need to really work to get that bit of hair painted inside without messing up the skin. That's really, really hard. So that's something I've been struggling this week with. Quite happy. The eyes aren't looking too bad. There's a little bit of guy liner on him, and yeah, we'll tidy that up, give him a bit more human looking, or well, not human because he's not one. What else are we doing on the Doctor? So let's put some of this on it. I'm 90% happy with this part. I did some pinstriping with the Jammy Dog masking tape. I didn't buff it down well enough, obviously, on here on these pinstripes. The collar I'm very happy with. Very minimal touching up to do. I'll have to just get my steady hand out and just touch in the light blue there. At least I have to coach paint pinstripes equidistantly on that. But of course, that's only part of his suit. The rest of it exists here on the trousers. So this is these two parts. Each leg is two parts, and you can see I've been sanding the seam. Some of it is still a little visible. I'm not quite happy with that, but we'll see what I can get away with, because as it gets clipped together, see, let's undo this. As it gets clipped together, he's not wearing jeans, he's wearing trousers. Put his body on there and then that. So we need to not follow the pinstripes exactly, because, well, that would be really weird. He'd be wearing a onesie. I want to match the blue. There is actually Vallejo blue surface primer mixed with a little bit of this. It's had a couple of coats and sanded back, and a couple more coats, and just to try and get the sense of this seam. Yeah, for the most part, I'm happy with it. It's going to be a case of some very tedious masking of the pinstripes here, trying to follow the contours of the creases, especially here, of the crotch creasing. But that'll go together fine. And then the trench coat. It's tricky because we've got the back of the shirt, and somewhere in the box here I've got don't know where it is, another X-Wing part which I've been weathering. Somewhere in here I've got the another bit of the back of the trench coat that goes on there. Oh no, it's in the trench coat. There it is. So every single bit needs to be masked and painted separately before any of it can be assembled. And then, of course, once it's assembled, because it's Airfix, the seams aren't perfect, and I'm trying to do sort of guess the polishing and sanding down. But when that gets glued together, it may need some filling. and then of course it's got to get painted again, and all of this bit has got to get masked off carefully so I don't get any overspray messing up the hard work that I've already done on that. But that's Doctor Who. He's coming along okay. And so what else have we got? Well, we got the commissions. I haven't done any more on the zombie yet, but let's come over. Let's come over this side of the studio, and we've got Dracula. So he's drying at the minute. He's had a wash of a very tedious wash, which of course cleaning off got it back to bare fiberglass, which is annoying. I've got to reprime those bits. It's not quite dry. It's nearly there. Nearly there. It's had 2 days to dry. This is the Army Painter old style quick shade, which I wanted to basically pre-shade him, and for some reason I thought that doing an oil-based thing that takes nearly a week to dry would be a good idea. Let's get out of the way of the window that's providing our natural light. But to be fair, it has provided some nice shading in the mouth. I need to, that's dried down. I have to repaint some of the tongue where it's pulled, and I missed it because it's difficult. Would you want to stick your hand in Dracula's mouth? No, I don't think so. But looking at the reference photographs for Dracula, that's a sort of blue-grey, everything that I've done there. So he's going to get another coat of a mid-grey, stone grey over the top, just thin, really transparent. And then this stuff is going to get, I think I'll probably have to make a dilute wash there. So he's going to get flat coated after the pre-shading is dry. Some more grey. There he is. But he's coming along. I wouldn't say he's nearly done because he's, well, not. But he's coming along. And the other stuff that's going on, just upgrading my microphones, and I've got some USB bits that I need hanging. Everything's sort of hanging off my lights, being held up by the force. So I'm just expanding my electronics in here to I've got a nice little 4-port here. That one USB 3 is going to go into the laptop for recording, painting live. Might not be broadcasting live because I still haven't sorted out my internet connection in here. So that's what's going on for the update this week. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at MiniModelPaint. Facebook is MiniModelPaint Studios. The links are all below, and well, I hope to see you soon.